Everything that you release will get redeemed by law. This is such an important thing to recognize as we are moving forward in a new time where it's not so much about the past and swimming around in the shadows of what was, but moving towards what we want to build. And a fundamental part of that process is the ability or necessity to release what you don't need anymore. And that's such a common sentiment in spiritual awakening consciousness theologies, and I think it's often overlooked in terms of the real process and how important it actually is. I mentioned in my last video about forgiveness, and forgiveness and letting go are essentially the same thing. Letting it pass by, because as I mentioned last time, everything is in the law of rhythm and it has to be released at some point so that it can be integrated back into the heart of the one, reconsecrated, re-sanctified, released back into creation to form something new. There is nothing in creation that when released and given back to God will not be redeemed. It doesn't matter what anybody says about who's deserving, who's not deserving, who's higher, who's lower. All that nonsense is irrelevant. The law, and this is what's important to understand, and the point I really want to hone in on this video is that it's actually law. That when something is released, it automatically gets redeemed, regardless of anybody's opinion, regardless of anybody's feelings about what's right or what's wrong, what's justified. That's not up to us. The point is that God sets the law in motion to make sure that we don't have to worry about that. That's the beauty of it. The law is there so that creation does itself without our needing to control, manipulate, hold on. It's about giving it all back to God. As mentioned before as well about our perceived exile from Eden, and what is that? It's our narrative, it's our beliefs, it's our story that we are living in that's got nothing to do with the innate intelligence and design of God's plan. And that is that everything is taken care of by the divine. And it isn't to say that we don't do anything. I'm not coming at this with the notions of passivity and nihilism. This is about understanding how we get in the way through needing it to look and be a particular way, through needing things to fit into our narrative. But what we do with that is we hold it in the body. The body cops it, the body keeps the score, and eventually that information is what brings us down. And so this is about understanding that when we are ready to let something go, it will be redeemed. We don't need to follow it through to make sure. We don't need to decide who's worthy or who's not worthy. The truth is, everything is redeemed. And in this time where we're really being called to sit in the seat of presence and holy witness, it's about being able to see distortion as it is without needing to claim it as something, without needing to label it, put it in a box, give it an identity, give it a oppositional attack, and say, I see you, I stand before you in the name of God, I look upon you with the gaze of holy grace, and I don't judge, I don't offer any additional narrative. That in itself is so purifying. That is what purifies all, because that is the gaze of God. To be able to look through his eyes and go, I see it as it is. I understand it from a perspective of law. And even though I don't understand it from start to finish, I understand that the law is always working. And it works over and above my personal feelings and what I think is right or wrong. So I don't need to justify it. The mind wants justification for letting something go, because the mind holds on to pain and story as a sense of duty towards the damaged self that needs an explanation, that needs to hold on to a sense of something to explain itself. But God isn't interested in that. God says, when you're ready to let it go, I'll take it. I'll take it all. Because power, as I've talked about before, it's not about what you can claim. It's about how much you can let go of claim. It's about how much you can allow yourself to be claimed. by the divine, about how you can let yourself move through a journey of gentle obedience and rhythm through prayer and through showing up to God in the moment in presence and saying, I'm yours right now, so what do you want me to do? There is no story of yesterday. There is no hopes or fears about tomorrow. There is just, I'm here with you right now. I'm not holding on to anything. I've let you have it all, so where are we going next? And that is the PowerPoint, where my vitality is not being manipulated or drained to beliefs. And it's not easy for the ego, because the ego needs it all. The ego needs all its labels, all its identities, all its spiritual fluff. But when you break it all down, there is only one truth, and that is, I am here. So when you are in that place, there is nothing to hold. Everything that you let go of gets cleansed, gets re-sanctified by God and given back to creation to form something new. It's as simple as that. So the wisdom in this is when you think about places in your life where you're still holding on to something just to have a position of power, just to have a card on the table that you can use to manipulate in the right moment because you need some sway in the game. We're moving past that now. We're moving into a time where faith isn't about what you're against. It's not about looking at the enemy and protecting yourself from attack. It's about rooting yourself in the presence of I am, where you don't need to be putting up walls out here. The boundaries you have are about you and about what you will and will not do, so you can maintain integrity. And the more you are willing to let go of the stories and narratives about what you think is right and wrong, the easier it will be for you to sit in that presence of I am and be the eyes of God in every moment, so you can let it be seen, let it be released, let it be renewed, rejuvenated, and then the creation will come into more and more vitality, more and more light, and all the beautiful things that people are waiting for. It is down to the individual and down to the collective to say, I'm letting go of the old story so that a new one can be born, because while ever we are feeding the present with notions of the past, everything we're going to create is going to be tainted by that.